they're very much missing our presence. Please convey that message to them. Nanda Maharaj was a little reluctant, but he had such love for Krishna, he wanted to do what Krishna wanted him to do. So he went back. Next, what happened? This is Mathura Leela, pastimes of Krishna. He's 12 years old, and he hasn't had his Upanayana, his sacred thread ceremony. So Vasudeva and Devaki wanted very quickly for that to happen. So who performed that ceremony? Garga Muni. The same one that did the name giving for Krishna and Balaram did the Upanayana, gave the sacred thread to Krishna. This is worldly pastimes. It's a pastime. To give Garga Muni some service and Vasudeva and Devaki some service. And then it was time for school, so he took vows of brahmachari. To be a student, there's vows. You know, just the Vedic culture, there's vows. So then it was time to decide what school.
It's more comfortable now.
I'm fine right where I am.
Oh, actually you are.
I'm fine right where I am. This is just a disturbance. I'm fine right where I am. You can leave it.
Okay.
Now that it's there, I'm fine right where I am. I'm very comfortable.
No, Krishna was going to school.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for things to settle down. It was time to decide where to go to school. Krishna decided, not Vasudeva and Devaki, Krishna decided, because he's the personality of Godhead. And he appeared for a number of reasons. One of them was to show by example. That's what great persons do. They don't need to do anything, but they show by example what to do. So Krishna knew he had to go to school, because here he is, he's 12 years old. How old are you? Yeah, 9. Anybody here that's 12? 12. Can you imagine not going to school when you're 12 years old? Hard to imagine. Krishna was 12 years old because in the cowherd community, they don't need all that. They take up the family occupation. If they're doing agriculture, if they're doing cow protection. So Krishna started when he was 3, herding the calves. But when he comes to Mathura, Vasudeva and Devaki are thinking, gee, Krishna hasn't been to school yet. We have to send him to school. So Krishna wanted to go to school. Now, those of you that know your geography of India, Mathura is kind of in the northern central, a little bit to the west, but northern central part of India. Krishna had just killed Kamsa. And with Kamsa he had a lot of allies, like buddies, political allies. So Krishna was concerned that if he goes to a known place to go to school, then Mathura will be unprotected. So he wanted to go to an unknown place. And he thought, Krishna, this is from our scriptures, Padma Purana specifically, he thought the best teacher would be Vyasa. But Vyasa understands that I'm the personality of Godhead, so he's not going to want to be my teacher. So we have to find somebody doesn't know that I'm the personality of Godhead. So there was a very well-reputed teacher in Avantipur, which geographically is quite a distance away. Ujjain, know your geography? from Mathura to Ujjain is quite a trip. But Sandipani Muni was well known, and he was from Benares, and so he was a Shaivite Brahmana, not a Vaishnava Brahmana. But that was a disguise, actually, he was a devotee of Krishna. So Krishna knew all these things. So Sandipani Muni was selected as the teacher, and Krishna and Balaram had taken the vows of brahmachari, so they didn't go with royal conveyance, they went barefoot, secretly, so people wouldn't know where they had gone. So the Mathura wouldn't be unprotected. Because they weren't going to be gone for long, because they learned everything at Sandipani Muni's school quickly. So we're going to hear some more tomorrow, I think, about his going to Sandipani Muni's school. And he learned everything quickly, and then he went back with royal conveyance in a chariot back to Mathura, a big celebration when he returned to Mathura. He wasn't gone for so long. And when he reached back in Mathura, his mind all the time is on the residents of Vrindavan. Because those who have love for Krishna, their thoughts are with Krishna. And those who have thoughts with Krishna's thoughts is with them. So he got back to Mathura, and he sent Uddhava, who is another member of the Yadu dynasty, to go take a message to the residents of Vrindavan. See his mother and father, and the message for the gopis. That was another purpose too, for Uddhava to then see the quality of the love of the residents of Vrindavan. Uddhava spent some time. He came back carrying gifts from Nanda Maharaj to Ugrasena, the king of the Yadu dynasty. And Uddhava informed everybody, especially Krishna, what happened, what's going on in Vrindavan. They're missing you too much. They want you to come, please come. That mood of love was conveyed. Then when Uddhava came back, what happened next? When he entered Mathura, one of the persons he was greeted by was a woman named Kubja. Kubja previously had been a hunchback. She was curved in 3 places. Just like in Ramayana, Mandara. So Kubja also was a hunchback, curved in 3 places. But she had such devotion for Krishna, she took the items, there were sandalwood paste and scented water and fragrances, then for the king, she immediately gave them to Krishna and Balaram. So what did Krishna do? With his toe on her toes, and the same finger that he used to sever the head of the washerman, he placed it under her chin, and boop, made her straight. And she became very beautiful. And she requested Krishna's company. So Krishna said later, I have to take care of Kamsa first. So later, with Uddhava, they went to Kamsa's home and gave his association to Kubja. What happened next? This is Mathura pastimes. Krishna was concerned about his devotees, the Pandavas, because they had not so long ago, this is chronology, not so long ago, way over there in Hastinapur, they had lost their father. The father of the Pandavas was named Pandu. Pandu. Pandu was dead. She was without a husband. The sages advised Kunti to go to take shelter in the capital city of Hastinapur. There was this hostility going on between the sons of Dhritarashtra and the sons of Pandu. Krishna knew. So he sent a messenger to go and stay there for several months. And who was that messenger? His name starts with an A. Same one. Akrura is really good. he sent Akrura. And Akrura spent 3 months in Hastinapur checking everything out. Akrura came back reporting, bad situation, this and that, and 3 months worth of direct experience. Interestingly, so here's Uddhava saying, Krishna, you should go to Vrindavan to satisfy the residents of Vrindavan. Being sent by Krishna, and Akrura, expert Akrura, sent to Hastinapur, you need to do something about the problem in Hastinapur. What happens next? Very interesting. Jiva Goswami says, as if that hadn't happened, suddenly Shukadeva Goswami starts narrating Krishna's earthly pastime of acting like a king that's going to fulfill the purpose of his appearance in this world, annihilating the demoniac kings that are overburdening the earth. So that's what happens next. Krishna is still in Mathura. And when Krishna killed Kamsa, Kamsa had 2 co-wives, or 2 queens. And their names were Asti and Prapti. And Asti and Prapti were given in marriage to Kamsa as a show of his prowess by Jarasandha. Now here's this isn't in Krishna book, but it's the story of Jarasandha. And the story of Jarasandha was, he was the son of the king of Magadha. So his father was a very qualified king, unlike Jarasandha. And Brihadrath was his name. He had 2 queens who were both from Varanasi. And he was ruling nicely and everything was fine except no sons. And he became very disturbed because it was part of the duty of a king to produce the next heir to the throne. So he went into the forest to perform austerities. While he was in the forest, he, by circumstance, by providential arrangement, he met one great sage named Chanda Kaushika. And Chanda Kaushika appreciated his nice mood and his qualities of respect for Brahminical culture. And he felt sad for Brihadrath, so he made an arrangement. He gave him a fruit and said, I understand what your difficulty is. You give this fruit to your wife and you'll be able to conceive children, or they will be able to conceive children. Brihadrath forgot to tell the sage that he had 2 queens. So when he got back, he took the fruit, cut it in half, gave half to one queen, half to the other queen, and when they gave birth, it was to half its child. Each half a child. Brihadrath was shocked. What do you do with half a child? He didn't know what to do. So he had the 2 halves taken to the forest and left them in the forest. And finding the 2 halves of a child in the forest, a mystical Rakshasi named Jara, she thought, breakfast. And she took the 2 halves and went like that, and the child came alive. And so Jara, Sanda, the joining of the 2 halves of the child of Brihadrath by Jara. So she somehow didn't want to eat the little baby. So she took the little baby back to the king and presented Jara, the child, to the king. So and in honor of Jara, he called his son Jarasandha. That's how he got his name. Jarasandha was invested with supernatural powers by Jara. And as he grew up, he became an ardent worshiper of Lord Shiva, so he was a very, very powerful personality. So one time this powerful king, as he matured, was off on a hunting expedition. What that meant was he had his armies and things, and he was hunting wild animals. So in the course of his hunting, he came across the elephant that he called Kuvalyapita, as big as 10 elephants, and he captured him alive. And he put big chains around his forelegs and big iron stakes in the ground to keep him while he went to go look for lions and tigers and other things. But Kuvalyapita was so strong, he just pulled the chains out of the ground and went running in a northerly direction. So the soldiers of Jarasandha followed, and Kuvalyapita ended up going to a place where Kamsa had a camp. Now in Garga Samhita there's a very long description of again and again and again and again. Kamsa had a program. He was so powerful, he would go himself defeat entire armies of entire kingdoms, leaving just the king standing on the battlefield, and then give them the choice, A or B. You either become subservient to me, or I'll kill you. Which would you rather do? So many persons became subservient to Kamsa, and that's how he consolidated his strength. So Kamsa was on one of those tours when Kuvalyapita went rushing in the direction of his camp and started terrorizing his camp. So Kamsa punched Kuvalyapita, smacked him to the ground, twirled him around and threw him several miles in the air, according to Garga Samhita, several miles in the air. And he came in for a crash landing at the camp of Jarasandha. And Jarasandha saw Kuvalyapita coming in for a crash landing and said, "Wow, I want to meet the person who did that." So he met Kamsa and said, "I'm really impressed. And I'm so impressed, I'll give you as a gift Kuvalyapita and my 2 daughters in marriage." Kamsa was honored. He accepted Asti and Prapti as his wives. And when Kamsa was killed, what did the 2 queens do? They're to be protected by their husband. They had no husband. They had no sons, apparently, so they went back to their father and said, "Daddy, take revenge." Told him the whole story. Krishna, this 12-year-old boy, he killed my husband, or our husband. Jarasandha became furious, took a vow, "I'll destroy the entire Yadu dynasty and Krishna." Take a vow. So he gathered together huge armies. 23 Akshauhini divisions of soldiers. It's a big number. It comes to more than 5 million soldiers. The numbers are 21,870 soldiers riding elephants, same number riding chariots, 3 times that number riding horses, and 10 times that number, 2 times that number foot soldiers. It's a lot of, it comes to 5,030,000. And with that massive army, he went charging to Mathura. This is a Mathura pastime, Jarasandha's first attack. So when he reached outside of Mathura, the soldiers reported this to Krishna. And the Bhagavatam describes, Krishna then considered, what's the best way to deal with this fellow? This is a worldly pastime, because there's no demons in Goloka. But it's a worldly pastime, and he's performing a worldly pastime. He's contemplating, like we might contemplate, what do I do next? Here's a difficulty. He's enjoying his pastime. So he considers some options. I could destroy the whole thing. I could destroy the army and leave Kamsa. I could or Jarasandha. I could destroy Jarasandha and the army will go home. He said, I'm going to just leave Jarasandha alive, destroy the entire army, because Jarasandha will come back and bring some more armies. And my appearance in this world was to destroy the demoniac kings. It'll be a very convenient arrangement. Jarasandha will keep bringing so many demoniac people, and my purpose in appearing in this world will be fulfilled. So he considers like this. While he's making this contemplation, this is how the Lord's potencies work. When he has a desire, the Sanskrit term is ichcha. Now, when living entities have ichcha, that's a problem. Ichcha, dvesha, samutena, dvandava, mohena, bharata. They come into this material world of duality. But when Krishna has an ichcha, something else happens. 2 celestial chariots just descended because he had this desire. And with the celestial chariot came all of his celestial weapons for him, and two chariots, one for Balaram. And the Bhagavatam describes in detail these weapons of Krishna and Balaram personified. They have names. The cloud of devastation that Indra has at the time of devastation, what's that called? Samvartika. That's the name also of Balaram's plow. Samvartika. And sometimes when you see paintings of Balaram, on one hand he has a plow, on the other hand he has a pestle. It's used for agriculture. So that has a name too. And the club, Kumadaki, and Krishna's Sharanga bow, and everything was there to take care of all the arrangements for their battle. Ready to go. Yes, sir. Battle ready. Krishna turns to Balaram. This is a Mathura pastime. He says, my dear Balaram, you don't need any weapons to do anything. You can do whatever you want. You can bring universes into being and destroy universes. You don't need any weapons. But they are your devotees. You want to give them some service. You're kind to them. So let us fulfill the purpose that we've come into this world and destroy the demoniac kings. Let us go at once. Balaram agrees. They ascend their chariots very elegantly, and according to Hari Vamsa, describing the same pastime, Krishna got some bad advice, but it was a leela, from one of the ministers. You don't need a big army. Just take a handful of soldiers, a small number of soldiers. So Krishna goes out into the battlefield with Balaram and a small number of soldiers from the Yadu army. And there's this 5 million soldiers on the battlefield. Kamsa has never seen Krishna. Excuse me. Jarasandha has never seen Krishna. Just like lots of people hadn't seen Krishna, but they heard about Krishna. Rukmini, she heard about Krishna. Something else happened when she heard about Krishna. When Jarasandha heard about Krishna, it was envy. So when Krishna came onto the battlefield, he could recognize from the description he heard. But then he spoke bad things about Krishna. Essentially, keeping it short, he said, you're not Purushottama, you're Purushadama, the lowest among men. Because you killed your own relative, your grandfather, Kamsa. The Acharyas say, what did Kamsa do? He did so many heinous things. He doesn't say anything bad about Kamsa. He says something bad about Krishna. This is the nature of demoniac people. They don't take responsibility for their own wrongdoings. They find fault in what they see to be other wrongdoing. Krishna did what he did to Kamsa because Kamsa, in so many ways, attempted murder of so many people and did so many bad things. From the role of a Kshatriya, he was to be punished. And that proper way. Another one is you said, you're just hidden. You left Mathura hiding in Vrindavan. So you're a coward. And the third is you're not even a Kshatriya. So I don't want to fight you. But that one over there, Balaram, I'll fight with him. And he challenges him, if you want to give up your life, come forward, we'll have some fight. Chivalrous words. Krishna gives it right back to him and says, only persons that are soon going to die speak crazy words like you and boast. A real hero shows by his own action, not by big, proud words. Stand and fight. He calls his bluff. So then, Jarasandha, with his 5 million, I mean that's a lot of soldiers, brings all of the soldiers surrounding Krishna and Balaram, because they're on a field, surrounding. And the ladies from Mathura, they're watching from the rooftop. They can't even see Krishna and Balaram anymore, because there's so many 5 million soldiers. And the hooves of the horses